Hey everybody, welcome back to The Silver Lining. I'm your host, Juliette, Valle, Miss South Florida Fair 2020, and today I have a very special guest. This girl is absolutely amazing. She was a former Miss Tampa. She was also second runner-up at the Miss Florida 2018 competition. She won preliminary swimsuit, preliminary talent, preliminary interview, preliminary gown. Any preliminary you can win, she won. So that's pretty awesome. She is currently signed with 2 modeling and talent agencies, and she is an opera singer and a very good friend of mine. Please welcome Lauren Nielsen.
Hey guys, I'm so glad to be here.
So Lauren, thank you so much for coming because I know you're very busy. Although we are in quarantine, you are constantly doing things. You are promoting your fitness advocacy, and like I said before, you're signed with agencies, so you're a busy girl, but
Yes.
I really appreciate you being here.
Glad to be here.
So as a teen, I watched Lauren because we never got to compete with each other. I'm just becoming a miss now. But I watched her do her talent. She absolutely blew me away. And then we actually got to perform somewhat together at the EW Foundation recital in December. Was it December? That feels so long ago.
I know, forever ago.
Feels like a whole different world.
Mm-hmm.
But
It really does.
Watch you perform, and you were absolutely amazing and so nice. And I kept asking her so many questions because I was
my gosh.
you. So I just want to know. First off, you were Miss Tampa, and what other titles did you have? Because I know you had a couple.
Oh, I had 6. So my first one was Miss Manatee River, and then Miss Largo, and then Miss Pasco County Fair, Miss Orange County, excuse me, Miss DeSoto Heritage, and then Miss Tampa.
So Miss Manatee River, Miss Largo, Miss Pasco County Fair. What was the one after that?
Miss Orange County, and Miss DeSoto Heritage, and then Miss Tampa.
Wow, we have a lot to unpack here. There you go.
Yeah.
6 titles. So you've been doing this since you were 18, 19?
I think I was 19. It was my first year in college, and I saw an opportunity for scholarship, and I honestly had no idea what I was doing. I was literally by myself. Like, all the moms backstage felt so bad for me because I was by myself. I had no idea what I was doing. I literally borrowed a costume from a local theater. I borrowed a swimsuit. I had not a zilch, no tanning oil, no tanning lotion at all on. And I'm a very fair-skinned person. And honestly, this mom felt so bad because I had used my prom gown. She just gave me one of her daughter's extra pageant gowns, and I felt so bad because then I ended up winning. But I mean, it just goes to show, growth and putting your mind to something. I had literally no idea what I was doing. And then to see where I ended up, it was just a really cool thing to look back on, and to see the love and kindness of people that are in pageants. For them to help me was just something I'll never forget.
And you won. So
yeah,
awesome.
I don't know how. I literally thought it was just a scholarship opportunity, and then you just go about your ways. And so I was saying goodbye to everyone. I was like, so nice meeting you. Hope we see each other again. And they're like, what are you talking about? You're going to Miss Florida. And I was like, what? What?
Oh, you didn't even know that you were going to Miss Florida?
Oh, no. I had literally no idea. Yeah. That's how funny it was.
I actually can relate because when I won Miss Broward County 2016, that was my first pageant as well, and I was equally as shocked. I didn't know what a year of service was. I was like, I thought we just do parades and
right.
Miss Florida either, so that was a big shock. And then Miss Florida, going actually to Miss Florida is just a whole other world, and it's very exciting. And I would love to hear how you dealt with that. You said you didn't have much experience, and I just want to know how you accustomed to that big change.
Right. And I encourage young women, any young woman that I meet, I'm like, go do a pageant. It will make you grow in so many ways. And honestly, you don't have to know what you're doing. My first year, I had literally no expectations. I was just like, I'm going to put my best foot forward, and I'm going to do everything I can to be the best version of me. And I feel like I really did a great job, but you definitely learn a lot. Backstage from the other girls, especially the veterans that had been there a long time. I figured out what butt glue was, and then
I never had to deal with that, unfortunately.
There's just so much that you don't know. Not that it's necessary to win. You could be, the fairest girl up there, or you could be a girl that doesn't do what everyone else does and win. But you definitely it's a naive and innocent perspective to look from, to see it your first year. Not saying that you can't go in and win your first year. You totally can too. But for me, it was really nice to just kind of sit back a little bit and watch and kind of learn the ropes of Miss Florida. Cause it's definitely like a summer camp that I will totally,
100%. And a very intricate system. And like you said, you can win your first try. The likelihood of that, it takes a couple tries, I mean, some of the winners have been back 2, 3, 4 times. And it's definitely something you have to learn. But I mean, local, your first try is obviously a big accomplishment, especially since you didn't really have much of the resources that some of the veterans might have already known. Oh, I need to have this and this and that,
Right.
So 6 titles. And clearly this organization means a lot to you. And I want to know, what made you keep coming back? What made you want to say, I want to keep doing this. I want to keep serving my community. Because I know, like, when you start pageants, like, the bug gets you. Everyone says that, but it's absolutely undeniably true. I did not think that I would do more than one, and now I'm here 4 years later, still doing it. But I want to know, what motivated you to keep coming back?
It's twofold. Definitely the self-growth that I saw within myself. I started becoming more articulate and caring about what was happening around me in detail, really studying the news and becoming an advocate for things. I mean, I went to Washington, D.C. and advocated on behalf of my social impact initiative. And I was always very community service oriented. I mean, I had the most community service hours in my entire high school. I think I had like 3,000. So serving in my community was always something that gave my heart a lot of joy. But definitely, like, being in pageants, I feel like it got me more hands-on. And, seeing the people that you've changed their lives, or even just given them that little bit of spark or inspiration to go do something, that is totally what just kept me coming back, is being able to know that I'm making a difference in this world. And also the self-growth within myself. I mean, it's that twofold of, I just kept becoming the woman that I wanted to be. And each year I would see the immense growth, whether it be spiritually, mentally, physically. I mean, at one point, I was in the organization and I was struggling with an eating disorder. And then I came out on the other side, now have overcome that eating disorder, become an advocate for those struggling. And now I'm super healthy and fit, and I feel in the best mental state that I've ever been. And, I attribute a lot of that to this organization. So honestly, any young woman should compete in this organization, because it truly changes your life for the better.
And, I love that you say, well, I love everything you said, and I love how you encourage young women to keep coming to pageants, because I think there's a lot of stigmatism that surrounds pageants, saying that they promote an unhealthy body image, but in fact, you said the opposite. It could change your outlook on your body, and you are very healthy and fit. I mean, I'm obviously going to put your social medias, anyone that follows her can see that's a huge part of her life. It's not just that she has a good body and likes to show it off. You promote like a genuinely healthy lifestyle, as well as positive self-bodily image, which is great. But yeah, like I said, a lot of people think that eating disorders are a result of pageantry, but I agree with you. When I won my first Miss title, which was not that long ago, I guess this past winter, I really started focusing on fitness, and I got a trainer who was wonderful, and he helped me, but it just made me want to be better, not in a healthy way. And I wasn't even at my goal by the time I had won. Right. I'm still working on it. But the fact is, I felt so much more confident on stage, and that made the world of difference for me. And I'm sure you can agree, once you put that effort into your physique, it creates a whole different side of you that you never really even knew.
It's so many things that you can learn from lifestyle and fitness. I mean, for years I dreaded it. I hated lifestyle and fitness. But the year that I won swimsuit, I don't know that I was necessarily, I know it wasn't the thinnest girl there. I just
had abs and everything. I saw you walk, and I was like, wow, dang.
Oh, I need to get back to that. But I was in a healthy mental place. I was in a healthy physical place. And honestly, when I stepped on that stage, I just radiated confidence. And I think that that's what attributed the win. Honestly, I think truly lifestyle and fitness is about discipline, proving to yourself that you can do anything that you set your mind to do, and just radiating confidence in no matter, beauty comes in all shapes and sizes. You don't have to be the skinniest girl. It's about being healthy and loving your own skin. And that's going to radiate across through lifestyle and fitness. And the year I won, I had so much fun. I never thought that I would be able to have fun strutting across stage in a swimsuit. But, I think it was destined to happen. I actually was training. I would go into a dance studio like every day, and I would do this, swimsuit walk. And I was training to this Demi Lovato song, and swimsuit that year was to the song that I had been listening to and walking to. And I was like, no way. So I felt, and I think it was confident or I think it was, I think it's
I
called
remember
confident.
it being, I thought it was going to be Demi Lovato's Confident.
Yeah. So I was just like, this is my time, you know?
I love how you're so realistic about your fitness journey, where you say, I've had to work for this, and it obviously requires a great deal of effort and discipline. But you also make it seem fun. It's not like it's a chore.
It is.
The reward for you was even greater. And although strutting across in a swimsuit requires a great deal of confidence, because essentially it's almost nothing under bright lights. So I remember going after prelims to see all the girls in the lobby, and you guys are tiny, tiny, tiny in real life, and on stage you still look great, but it's just really hard to pull that off. So it requires a lot of work and a lot of bravery, but clearly it made a positive impact on you. And although I never got that experience, fitness and teen made a good impact on me, but becoming a miss and really focusing on it has changed me so much. I feel so different.
I think the whole point of lifestyle and fitness is just to ensure that as Miss America, as Miss Florida, you have to be a healthy individual to sustain the difficulties of the job. And though I don't think that swimsuit particularly is necessary to compete in a pageant or should be implemented in the Miss America organization, I definitely think that having a healthy lifestyle and promoting that to other young girls looking up to you is important. But it doesn't mean you have to have a six-pack and be thin to be healthy, if that makes sense.
Right. Yes, I agree with that, because I think the swimsuit portion, watching all the girls on stage, very different body types. I mean, I'm not going to lie and say that most girls weren't at a pinnacle of fitness. That was obviously very great and inspirational, because they were, but that's what they want it to be. It's not like Miss Florida says you have to be this. It's just it motivates you. I feel like the pageant motivates me to be better. And seeing all the different girls on stage with different body types, it's like, hey, someone like Lauren.
It's a beautiful thing to see. It really is.
And, I knew you and I had cheered you on and I had seen you in talent. So to have you win both categories was super awesome, because how rare is it that you get to win both prelim swimsuit and prelim talent, which
it was something I'll never forget.
That's a huge feat. So I think that's amazing. And I love your positive spin on it. But I want to know, you said swimsuit's not necessary, and I agree, but I want to know how you feel about the 2.0, the whole change, because taking out swimsuit, I get, but do you think that the change went too far? Or do you like the change? Or I want to know your opinion on that.
I'm a classic. I loved watching Miss America growing up, and my mom watched Miss America growing up, and we were a fan of the classic, interview and talent was really heavily scored and important for the young women to have a strong talent. And as somebody who's musically talented and has worked on singing and acting and modeling and all of these artistic things since I was a little girl, I know the discipline and hard work that goes into talent. And I think that talent should be very, very heavily scored. I also think that your public speaking skills have to be impeccable. Interview needs to be one of the highest, if not the highest scored component of the competition, in my opinion. Interview, because as Miss America, as Miss Florida, the two things you will probably be doing the most is interacting with individuals and having to have that authentic conversation, but also, interacting with CEOs and corporate individuals, and have to be able to speak to people, from the age of 2 to 92, and really be a good public speaker. And also you'll be performing your talent, possibly. And so those are the two things that I think need to be the highest scored. And so with Miss America 2.0, I don't quite know what their focus is. I want to back this organization. It's an organization that helped me pay off my student loans entirely. It gave me friendships that I'll have the rest of my life. And so many individuals that I am friends with now that just poured love and help into my life. And I mean, Ellen Mead, she was of Miss Florida. She's one of my dearest friends. I mean, I don't know if I'd be where I am today without her. I mean, there's so many individuals like that. So it's an organization that's very near and dear to my heart, but I will admit I'm a little worried of where it's going to go, just because I don't know exactly what their core focus is. And I just want a succinct and clear vision for where it's going forward.
Yes, I agree with you, because I love this organization too, and I'm someone that will support it through its classic phase and through its phase now. I think their intentions are good, but I do think that some of the comments that were made, that like an educated woman doesn't parade around in a swimsuit, That's entirely untrue, because you clearly went to a great college, and you said you paid off your student loans, and University of Tampa is great but notoriously expensive, as a lot of the colleges in Florida.
Right.
And you earned your bachelor's in musical theater there, which I'm also a musical theater major, which is exciting.
Yay!
You're obviously very educated, and you won preliminary swimsuit. I actually also talked to Mary Lou's Cook, who you competed against, or competed against.
Yes, I love Mary Lou's.
And her fitness transformation is also so amazing, and I talked to her about
that.
Oh,
she rocked.
She said the same thing about the impact it had on her. But, you know, she's also very educated. She went to FAU, and, you know, she's an educated woman who loves swimsuits. So it just goes to show that no matter, you know, if you like to parade around in a swimsuit or not, it has nothing to do with how smart you are or how
I made a post about that. I was just like, how about we tell educated women, how about we don't tell educated women what they can and can't do? You know, if I'm an educated woman that wants to go model a swimsuit or strut across a swimsuit, let her do it. Or if I'm an educated woman that wants to be more modest and, you know, wear a pantsuit while I'm doing my onstage question or whatnot, let's just not tell educated women what they should or shouldn't do. And let's just not put a stigma or a title on women in general.
I agree with that 100%. I think I did support the no swimsuit, but that statement bothered me.
And words matter. Words matter, especially from, you know, the heads of the organization.
And, you know, I think the organization is trying to recuperate themselves from that and trying to change. But I definitely could see that, you know, it made an impact on a lot of women who have really changed for this organization. And like you said, that had a really great deal of impact on you and your personal story. Taylor Tyson, Miss Florida 2018, who I'm also going to interview, which I'm really excited for, he won preliminary swimsuit and is currently in law school. So you can balance both. In fact, the reason why I love Miss America now and back then is because it's inspiring to see women who are in good shape. It's inspiring to see, you know, someone like you who's obviously very talented and very smart and very fit, who is also someone that I can talk to and relate to. Like you mentioned about public speaking, it's important as a title holder, whether you're a local or a Miss America, to be able to level with people, no matter the age, no matter the walk of life, no matter who they are. It's important to be able to connect with them. And it's nice for me to have someone like you who is very accomplished. You can connect with me, and you can talk to me and tell me about your experience. So I thought that that was just a really misguided statement, and I don't know if it was taken out of context and it's not what it was supposed to sound like, but it didn't go over well, and I can see why.
Right.
But now I want to talk about your journey with talent. I want to know how you got into opera first off, and then I'll go into more of how you know, launched that into Miss Florida.
Yeah, so it's quite funny. I sang at Miss Tampa this year. I did 2 different songs. And so I did a musical theater song, and then I sang an opera song. And I had so many people coming up to me, and they were like, I didn't know you could do musical theater. I didn't know you could do anything other than opera. And it made me really laugh, because growing up, I never did opera. Growing up, I sang in my church a lot. So I did a lot of gospel music. I was really blessed to go to a very musical church. So we did these Broadway style musicals every year. And I grew up singing musical theater pretty much and church music. And when I went to school,
I started my life, literally.
I know, right? And, you know, even some country music. Like, I'm a Florida cracker. I'm technically born in New Jersey, but we don't tell people that. I know. But I've grown up in Florida.
Born in New Jersey, I would have never guessed.
Yeah, I know. I'm a Jersey girl, but also a Florida cracker. But I love country music, and I grew up being on a lot of farms and being around a lot of country people. So country music has always been a beautiful place in my soul. But they were telling me they didn't know that I could sing musical theater, and I'm like, that's what my degree is in. That's what I was trained to do. I did do opera studies as well. In my undergrad. So I did learn a little bit about opera, and then I studied with a vocal teacher that I sang at the Met, and she's really great. She can dabble in both musical theater and opera. But I always tell people, I think that if you train classically, you can go sing anything. And so that's what I did personally, was I said, I want to be trained in the classical manner so that I can go sing and have the proper technique to be able to sing anything. But I found that I had this immense love for opera, because for the longest time I thought operas were basically just standing on a stage, singing an aria, and that was it. It was just in a foreign language, and that was it. I had no idea that it's basically just like musical theater to a higher level. I saw my first opera at the St. Pete Opera. I believe it was La Boheme. And I started connecting the dots, and I was like, oh, that's where the Rent musical is coming from, La Boheme. And I saw they translated it on a screen. So you were able to read it in English and understand what they were saying.
I think people don't really understand how relevant opera is. It's
so relevant.
It's so relevant. And, I go to the Adrienne Arsh or the Broward Center, and the operas are usually packed, and a good deal of it is an older audience, but I see a lot of young people too. And I think that it's nice that you, who has won preliminary talent so many times and, has represented a lot of big pageants, has a talent like that, because you're bringing more awareness to it and increasing the relevancy of it, because you're young and you're beautiful. And some people might say, oh, maybe she sings pop, or maybe she sings other stuff, but you go a more classical route. And I think that's so interesting.
Well, I was a music teacher for many years too. And so classical music and music in general has always had a special place in my heart. My mom's a teacher. My grandma was a music teacher, and we're all very musical people. And I do think that a lot of music nowadays is not to downplay its relevancy or its standards or anything, but I definitely want to instill a love in classical music with young students, and learning instruments, and learning that opera can be fun. I mean, I think I laughed harder in one of the operas that I saw than I have in any movie that I've ever seen. I mean, opera can be funny, it can be heart-wrenching, it can be loving. There's so much you can learn from operas too, that I think there's a reason people are still doing them. They're relevant, from hundreds of years ago to today. And I think that's something that is really always motivated me to do opera, is knowing that I'm instilling a love for opera, or giving young people the thought that, oh, I can go sing that, or I can go learn that one day. And that meant a lot to me.
Right. And, I love how you say that the opera made you laugh, because, now that they incorporate the screens, which I think is a great, great thing for young people to go see the operas, where they have translations on the back of the chair or above the stage. A lot of the jokes are so modern and contemporary. It's jokes that we still crack today, maybe executed a little bit differently, but the same sort of idea. And it's funny, because I was watching The Marriage of Figaro, which is so long and a lot of jokes, but Mozart, I don't think people realize Mozart was a funny guy, and very clever in what he wrote, and very deliberate. And it's really cool.
Very deliberate.
Love triangles were a funny thing back then too. And it seems silly to me now that I thought, oh, I didn't even realize that was a thing back then, but it was. There was cross-dressing.
The things that are happening now, were happening in biblical times. I mean, there's so many things nowadays that we think, oh, nobody could understand what I'm going through 70 years ago. Oh, yes, they can.
Oh, yes. Come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, we hear operas in cartoons, we hear them in commercials, all the time. And I just, I think it's great that, young women with their talents are utilizing them to promote such a great cause. And you're even involved in music education, which is so great. And your mom and your grandma did it, which is so cool. And I've had the pleasure of meeting your mom, and she's so sweet. But it's really nice to see how you guys have carried that through your family. That's really, really awesome.
I know. I'm praying. I'm Lord, please give me musical children. Please give me musical children.
Definitely will. It's inevitable.
I hope so.
So your talent. So you sang Nessu Dorma this past time you competed, and the one you sang before was which one?
Oh, Don Fatale from Don Carlo.
And I want to know, what is competing in talent like for you? Because I know you're used to being a professional performer. I've seen you perform. It's just a little bit different when you're in a high stakes competition like Miss Florida. I want to know how you prepare for that type of performance, even when it comes down to the dress, the way you move on stage, because we only have 90 seconds. I feel like people don't realize how short it is.
Yeah.
It seems 3 to 5 minutes when you're watching it, but to us, it passes by like that, because
so quickly.
Are long and we're condensing it. We got to pack in the most important parts. So I want to know how you prepare for a performance that's a little bit different than a traditional opera performance.
Right. Well, the way I looked at it was, I'm a musical person that needs to show, the pageant world, my musical background in 90 seconds, right? And so I looked at it as every single second is important. You don't waste a second. And that goes to creating the track. I mean, there was at one point a 7-second interlude in between my song, and I took that right out.
Right.
We didn't want to waste seconds at the beginning either. So I think it's very important when you're creating your track to understand, like, every second is another second for you to show the judge what you can do. And so don't waste any of that. As an actress, you learn very quickly that you need to be in character before you even step on that stage. And so that was a huge part for me, is when I was backstage, I would kind of, I'm a very chatty person, and I loved all the girls, and we would chat literally all the time. Like, I'd never shut up. But when I would get backstage before talent, I kind of went in the zone, went in my corner, kind of did my thing, because I was getting into the character. And from the moment that I was backstage to the moment that I got off stage, I was no longer Lauren. I was the character that I was portraying, and embodying the feelings that she was feeling, and the trials and tribulations that she was going through during the song. And I think that's really important too, to, even if you're not doing a musical theater style song or whatever, as a dancer too, you are not yourself in that moment. You are portraying, the emotion from the song, the music that you're using. So definitely letting some of yourself show through, so that they can, love and fall in love with you, but also realizing for 90 seconds, they were just taken on a fantasy and a ride. And that's always been something that I've wanted to do, is, when I'm in a long musical or 90 seconds, I want to give you a release and an escape for 90 seconds or for however long I'm on the stage, so that you can feel like you were just taken on a journey.
I absolutely love that. And I also love how you add, like, I'm friends with the girls, like, there is a great deal of camaraderie. But when I tap into the character, I need to tap into the character. You don't have the grand opera set, you don't have the orchestra, you don't have the costumes, but it is important to preserve the integrity of that character and of that message when you're performing. Like, I performed, I think of Me for one of the locals.
I remember that.
And I felt like I was trying to be more of like a pageant Patty, if you will, like not really letting myself tap into the character. Although I thought it sounded pretty, I was more focused on that. But when I competed for Miss South Florida Fair, I sang Quando Me Vo, and I really took the time to tap into that character, to get in the zone. And I felt it was so much more of a dramatic but authentic. That's what people thought. Like you said, you're transported to an opera for 90 seconds.
Yeah.
That's our job, is to take the audience and bring them into another world, whether it's with dancing or with piano playing. But I think opera is really unique. I think, like we mentioned a couple times before, it's not really as talked about, day to day. We don't hear it every single day, although we do.
I won't let it become a dying art. Not letting it.
It really isn't anytime soon. I think that people don't realize that, but most people aren't really as fervently passionate about opera as we are, and I'm not saying that in a condescending way, because there are a lot of things I don't know about.
They just don't know they're in love with it yet, and it's just our job to show them that.
Exactly. And if not be in love with it, at least appreciate it, because it is an art where you don't sing with a microphone usually. And it's a very complex art, and singing in a different language is not as easy as you might think.
No.
Words. I hear people say all the time, well, if you mess up, you could just make up a word and no one will know you did it. I'm like, it's not really true.
No, I would be mortified, because I'm the person that's like, there's one Italian person from Italy sitting in the second row. No, like,
there is a fluent. I know one judge is fluent in Italian. I just
right. No, I could never. I think that's something
that would be that way.
Right. I think we should talk a little bit about that too, is breaking down how you actually go about doing an opera piece. I mean, yes, you do get in the character's brain, you get in her mind, you think about your why as to why you're singing that, but there's so much more that goes into it. Your movement has to be deliberate. You're not just raising your hand to raise your hand. Like, why would you be raising your hand at that point? Thinking about the lyrics. So one, understanding the translation and taking the IPA and breaking it down.
The IPA. Actually knowing. Oh my gosh, no one will ever understand. That's what makes me sad, is that you don't know what I've been through. You don't know what IPA does to me.
So what we're trying to say, friends, is
I just wanted to rant. You're like, let's explain.
When you break down words in different languages, it can mean different things. So you need to get the exact real translation. So oftentimes when you go Google online, it'll say, oh, it means this. It doesn't actually mean that. So we go by word, breaking it down to the exact verbiage of what it actually means, so that we're articulating exactly what that composer or that lyricist was trying to say.
Right.
So there's so much that goes into learning a song in a different language. Understanding that in English, we might have breathed here, but because of the word, we can't breathe in the middle of that word because you wouldn't, you wouldn't breathe in between one full in English. And so you find the place in different languages where you can breathe and take that musical, interlude and there's just, I'm getting overwhelmed.
I know. So just even thinking about doing that, I've done it before, but thinking about doing it again in the near future is giving me like a flash.
And then the rhythm, when you have to articulate the correct syllable on the right rhythmic.
Yes.
Get like hot. Just thinking.
I'm getting the sweats. It's a real thing. And also, I'm sure you relate to this. Can we just talk about how cold it is backstage and how worrisome that is for your audience?
So cold.
Like a high C or even higher than that in like a minute. And it's freezing. And that's no fault of their own. Theaters are traditionally cold backstage, but the Miss Florida is notoriously cold.
Yeah.
It's like freezing back there. You would think you're hot because you're running around, but when it comes to the crunch time and you're like dying back there,
and I think that's something too is, being a professional and knowing your craft and knowing your body, you have to be prepared for those things. So I was always drinking hot tea before I went on, regardless of how I felt. I was like, I'm getting that hot throat coat down my throat. I was hydrating that entire day. I made sure that, for a long time, I will say the first few years, I would get kind of scared to practice in front of the other girls because I didn't want it to come off as like, I'm thinking I'm going to win or listen to my voice or anything like that. And I just encourage all of the young women, get back there and practice, go stretch, go play the piano, go sing your loudest high note. No one's going to judge you. You have to be prepared. And for vocalists, especially, I was doing a detriment to myself the first few years because I was too scared to sing in front of the girls for whatever it may mean to them. And I wasn't vocally warmed up enough. And so a couple of years later, I was just like, you know what? I'm going to sing and I'm going to sing and I'm going to sing until I feel vocally ready to go on that stage. Because especially with opera and the high notes that I was belting out, you don't just whip that out. I mean, it is a muscle that you need to warm up and you should not be ashamed to do that. So anybody with whatever your talent is, go practice. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks. You do you.
I could not agree more with that. And I actually forgot that we performed in front of the other girls. I mean, I did remember, but I'm just remembering now. And I can tell you that you're not alone. It is nerve-wracking. Mm-hmm. And oh my gosh, next time I compete for Miss Florida, which I don't know if you've heard, but it's been postponed.
Yeah.
It'll be 5 years since I've competed at state, which is
so
weird.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy.
I'm going to have
you'll just come back with a bang. You'll be so prepared and ready.
Yes, at least we'll be extra prepared. And I get to serve as Miss South Florida Fair again, which leads me into my next question. That was quite a segue. You are Miss Pasco County Fair. And I think that fair queen titles, if I do say so myself, are very unique. They're very interesting. And if there was a title that I would want to represent twice, it would be Miss South Florida Fair. So I think it's quite fortuitous that I happen to be that. But I want to know what your experience is like, because for Miss South Florida Fair, it was a blast, but it was like you were representing the entire fair, and it's a lot of pressure for that limited amount of time. I mean, in addition to the regular year of service, but the reality is that the fair is our main time of year, and it's just a lot. So I want to know what you thought about that.
Oh, yeah. So it's definitely an intricate and amazing topic to discuss. I was crowned in the Dan Cannon barn. So I was crowned in a barn. So that's, that itself is hilarious. And I think the next week they took us to the fair and I entered in the milk cow or the I entered in a milk off. So we were, just taking the udders and seeing how quickly our cow could fill up the bucket of milk. And I actually made it to the final round. Very impressive, I know. But I was wearing a crown and sash in, a barn, milking a cow, And
yes, I
love
that.
That's not something that everyone can say. No. And there was, I believe, Courtney Graham. I want to say she did a watermelon. Yes, I know. She was my teen. So it was like the funniest thing when she was a miss with me. I mean, it's just to see.
And now she's married.
Girls. I know. It's just, and that's the relationships and bonds that you create. I know. Congratulations, Courtney. I love you, you little sassy queen. But she did like a watermelon seed spitting competition, and there was like hot dog eating competitions. Like, these are fair queens that are supposed to be, you know, beautiful and blah, blah, blah. But I think it's so much fun to show them that we get down and dirty.
No,
you know, we're normal people, you know?
I know. And that's what was so fun to me is like, because every other title I had was very posh and, you know, very like traditional. But I mean, I also milked some udders myself.
Yay!
I consider myself the expert, no shade. Just, I really felt like it was my natural talent.
Right.
#farmhand.
We could have a cow on the stage at Miss Florida, you and I. That would be
That's fine. That's fine. I'll do that. I don't care. But I also did kiss a pig, and I actually ate armadillo.
What?
Yeah, I did.
How was that?
It was actually, I liked it. Would I like order it with fries like kind of every weekend? No, but they were really surprised, and like my mom was like horrified, and she like turned around for like maybe a second. When she turned back, like a plate of armadillo was gone, and I was just like,
oh my gosh, that's so funny.
And then
actually, I ate a kumquat that year. It was the kumquat festival.
Ooh.
And those are like little oranges like this big, and you literally like eat the peel too. So I mean, just things that you'll like never do in your life, you do as a fair queen. I held a skunk. I held like little pigs. Yes, I have a picture of me with a skunk, and it was like the softest, cutest thing ever.
Did it actually smell?
No, it did not smell. It was actually kind of smelled good. So, you know, fair queen titles, I encourage every young woman to go after one, because you will make some memories that you will never forget. And the people that you meet, you're not just a title at Miss Florida. You really represent a community. And
organization.
Dade City is a community for sure. And meeting all of the fair executives and all of the people there, they really, really take you in and love you. And it's just a special, special thing.
It's a full year of preparation. Like from when the fair ended, they were already planning for the next year. And I think that it's just, people don't realize like that the fairs in Florida are taken seriously. And a lot of my friends are like, oh, you're like a country queen, because I go to school in Miami, so they're not like really like that. And I'm like, oh yeah, Florida's real country. And you know, I actually missed out on the Sweet Corn Festival this year because of the COVID, which was really, really sad, because I was so looking forward to shucking corn. But now I get to do it next year, so that was just a really big blessing. But yeah, no, there's a Girl Scout cookie eating contest at ours. I did not participate, but I heard about it.
That would be dangerous for me. So.
I think that maybe you could put a few away, but with your body, I don't know how much you can handle. Although it might surprise me, because you don't really strike me as the girl that's like crushing Samoas all the time. But
girl, I can eat. Like I eat every 2 hours. And, that's a whole nother topic, but that's
a whole other thing we could talk about. But no, I mean, yes, I think the fair is extremely unique. Cow milking, and my sister queen Ashley Clement, I think she competed.
Oh, she was my roommate at Miss Florida.
Really?
Yeah.
Shout out to Ashley.
We had so much fun, and I felt so safe. I was like, my roommate is a karate major, and she's got nunchucks. Like, no one's touching me.
Don't try to come in here. Ashley will beat you up.
No one gets my skinny pop. No one's coming in my room.
No, skinny pop is a whole other thing we could talk about too.
Whole another topic. I could talk 30 to 40 minutes on that.
But no, she's amazing. And like, I asked her questions maybe every 2 seconds, because I was so scared to milk a cow. And she always was like, why do you make me do these things first? I'm like, and you should ask her sometime what mountain oysters are. Or if you want to look them up, do that. But we also had to try that. So just so you know.
I'll text her.
Yeah, do that, because you'll be surprised to see the result. So anyway, now that we've talked about that, we've just talked about so much. So now I want to know, you gave us all these pageant things. You told us about your titles. But I want to know what you're doing now. You are done with the organization. That is a chapter of your life that is now over, but you still clearly care about it. And you also are still advocating for your platform, Uniquely You, which is amazing. It deals with eating disorders. So you already told us a little bit about your background and how you've changed and obviously become a great fitness advocate. But I want to know how you're still championing that platform now. And I just want to learn more about your platform in general.
So I started Uniquely You after I overcame my eating disorder, and I got really involved with NEDA, the National Eating Disorder Association, and I got involved with Allison Krieger Walsh, who also struggled with an eating disorder, and I volunteered for her organization, Hope, and we did golf tournaments, and then I got connected with other individuals at the Recovery Village and lots of different eating disorder associations. And so I'm still very in touch with them. Last year in, I believe, May, I went and advocated in Washington, D.C. for, we were advocating for a push through legislation to include eating disorders in one of their bills that it included renal failure and diabetes, and we wanted to push for eating disorders as well. And I've also advocated many times in Sarasota to Vern Buchanan, my representative, and I'm still very in touch with them. I mentor young women still. I actually became a pageant planet coach, and so I'm helping. Yeah, I know.
Oh,
I'm really excited.
It's like my religion.
I know, right? It's like the Bible, but I mean, the Bible's number one, but pageant planet.
That's such a close second. They're like the same thing.
Yeah, I wanted to find another outlet to where I could help other young women and develop their social impact initiatives and find that passion that drives them. And, you know, for many years, my platform was breast cancer awareness because my mom, she developed breast cancer. And so that was an amazing platform that I had for many years, but I wanted something, you know, that was more pertinent to my current lifestyle and something that really drove me and something that I was passionate about. And so I still sing at the walks, and I'm still very in touch with all of the heads of these organizations. And I go into treatment facility centers and speak in hospitals. And we have a really great hospital in Sarasota that I've gone and talked with individuals there. And so just making sure that my foot is still in the door with organizations like that is really, really important to me. It'll be something I do probably the rest of my life. It's something that, you know, I don't want anyone to struggle the way that I did. And if I can be a light or an inspiration to anybody and help them overcome that, then I want to continue to do that for sure.
And what I love most about this, besides the fact that what you're advocating for is so important, and there's also just so many unknowns about eating disorders. I feel like there's a lot of misconceptions. It is talked about more regularly, but most people think it's just a girl starving herself, and that's kind of it. There are so many different ways you can have an eating disorder and so many different phases of those eating disorders. I'm personally not as educated as you would be, but, you know, I have been in pageants. I also did ballet. So kind of
the pressure to be thin and unhealthy has crossed almost everyone's life at some point.
Right. Actually, I was talking about that with another sister queen, where she said, you know, at least every girl, no matter how perfect they are, at some point in their lives has struggled with body image, but it also pertains to men as well. I don't mean to make it just about women, because I mean, we are in a female scholarship pageant, but there are so many men that struggle with that. And I know that you advocate for both sides, but, you know, what I like most about your platform is that you have gone through it and you're not afraid to speak out about it, because I mean this in the best way. If I didn't know you and I didn't know anything about you and I just saw you on Instagram, I would say, oh, this girl's like obviously beautiful. She's a model. She was a pageant girl and her body is so good. You know, I bet her body's always been like that. That's so unfair. But in reality, it hasn't. And it's not that you advertise yourself that way, but, you know, Instagram can be misleading. But what I like, you change that and you're like, no, this is my story. And it's very pertinent to me and to my journey, and I want to advocate for that. And I think it's so inspiring. And what I like about so many Miss America girls in general, whether their platform is about an eating disorder or about, you know, anything, is that they're able to share their personal experiences. So to someone that might not know pageants as well or might want to pursue pageants, says, oh, these girls are relatable and they talk about real issues and they can, you know, state the facts. They can state the statistics, and you're taking your platform even outside of Florida. You went to DC, which is a huge deal, and you're still advocating for it after the crown. So for people that think that we do, you know, or have our social impact initiatives just for the sake of winning, it couldn't be more untrue. We pick these platforms specifically because we want to champion something that we believe in. And
if anything, I thought, you know, people would look at my social impact initiative and think, oh, I can't relate to that. And I said, I'm going to make you understand how you can relate to that. Everyone at one point or another has looked in the mirror and not liked something about themselves. And some people take drastic measures to change or affect that. And, you know, I even had a student that was a male that had an eating disorder. So it truly does affect people of all ages, of all ethnicities, of all backgrounds. And You know, it's something that I think everyone can relate to, whether it happened to you or it happened to someone you know. Eating disorders are extremely common, and they actually have the highest mortality rate of any mental illness. So,
Oh,
you
I
know, people are right. And people don't know that this is something that is pushed under the rug. People feel uncomfortable talking about it, and they think it's just young, pretty girls trying to look thin. And that could be the farthest thing from what it is. It is a mental distortion, and it is a mental disorder that needs to be talked about and championed.
And you have taken your healthy lifestyle and made it a part of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And you're a girl who is very smart. You're a woman of faith. You're a woman with a lot of talent. And on top of that, you are a healthy lifestyle, I guess you could say expert, but most certainly like a teacher. You teach me, you've taught me so many things today. Even before we started recording this call, Lauren was telling me about her current lifestyle and fitness regimen, because I'm obviously interested in that since I'm getting into fitness myself. And, your platform is so important. Like you said, I didn't even know that that was the leading cause or the mental illness with the most cases of death. Which is so sad because it affects mostly young people. It could be all ages, all races, but I see it in a lot of young women, and it's truly devastating. And I think what's even more sad to me is that people think that an organization like this, which in fact lifts up women, is a cause or a catalyst.
It's not perpetuating it. It's just the mindset that you have to go into understanding that the Miss America organization wants the best girl for the job. And that could be a woman of any shape, of any size, of any ethnicity, of any career choice,
in the last 2 decades, we've seen a lot of different ethnicities, a lot of different body types, maybe even the last 30 years for the Miss America organization, because I think diversity is key. And, in everything, we're not just talking, ethnically, we're talking, platform wise, background wise, fitness wise, it's a lot of diversity. And I think
everyone needs to see themselves represented in this organization.
And that's what I liked about swimsuit, is that I saw different girls representing different body types. Although you can still see different girls on stage in their evening gown. Swimsuit isn't necessary, but I never thought of it as a misogynistic, sexist thing. I always saw it as something positive. But we still can push ourselves to be the best that we can with this new change. But I can see how swimsuit meant a lot to a lot of girls for that reason, not for any negative reason at all.
Right.
Because any girl that wants to enter a pageant knows that being fit and being healthy is, not necessarily a requirement, but, a suggestion. And I doubt, it's not like we're forcing it upon them. The organization doesn't say you have to be this or that. It's a choice. We make the choice.
We advocate for a healthy lifestyle so that you can do the duties of the job. I mean, Miss America is a full-time job. You're living out of a suitcase, going from hotel to hotel. And, you have to be healthy to sustain that. I'm getting on planes and constantly going with little sleep and eating healthy. That will sustain you through your year. And so that's the way I had always looked at it is, they want to make sure that you're in your healthiest state, and you sign that in your contract too, that you are physically able to do the job.
Yes, and I completely agree with that. It's not even just about the way you look, like she said. It's about, being fit in mind, being physically sound and content and ready to focus. This is a job, whether it's, even a local, because I'm not just saying this. Miss Tampa is huge. It's known for being a really big local pageant and, obviously being a fair queen too. We joke about it, but these are big deals. These are big titles. Right. We are representing organizations and cities. And I think people say, oh, locals are probably easier. And in a way they are on a lesser scale, but they're not necessarily easier. It is a job, and we have to be on our A game for that job.
As Miss Tampa, I sang for the Tampa Bay Rays. I sang for the change of command at MacDill Air Force. So the Secretary of State was present, and, pretty much like all MacDill Air Force heads were there. There was a lot of things that I had to do that required me to be on my A game and have clarity and have focus. And I was mingling with huge heads of corporations and people that could give me a job down the road. And so you just never know who you're going to meet, and you have to constantly be on your A game, healthy, confident, and ready to take on the tasks that are afforded to you. That's why I'm drinking my keto coffee right now and my Queen of Everything cup, because without my coffee.
You guys definitely check out her Instagram, because I'm sure that she will answer you if you message her. I think it's quite interesting, and I'm definitely going to continue to message her. want to get your number, Lauren, because I am very curious about your lifestyle, and you explained a bit to me, but make sure you follow her because it is definitely very interesting to see how she keeps fit without restricting herself.
Yeah.
But anyway, so all that. And now I want to know what you're doing now. I want to know, because you told me you're signed with 2 talent and modeling agencies, which is huge. And you told me a little bit before that the COVID pushed things back, as it did for everybody. You were planning on moving to New York or LA, preferably LA. But I want to know what your thoughts are on that and what kind of, career change that would mean for you and life change, because that's a big
one. Well, I had been I thought about it, ever since I graduated. I graduated, oh my gosh, 5 years ago. I'm aging myself a little bit. But I had always known that performing was in my heart. It was in my soul. It was an innate desire that God had given me, and he had given me the ability to do that. So when I graduated, I started performing in Florida, and there are many, many performing opportunities in Florida. We have a lot of opera companies, a lot of theater, especially in Sarasota. We have a very culturally artistic area, and there's a lot of repertory theaters that I had worked for, and I've accumulated some equity points. And I actually worked for Busch Gardens this year as a performer, so I've done the theme park track a little bit. I worked for a cruise line earlier.
But I want to go.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you have to go. Busch Gardens is fabulous. They have tons of animals, and they teach a lot about keeping their animals and safe and healthy. And it's a great theme park. I love them. They're all so sweet. And they're actually connected with SeaWorld as well. And so I learned a lot about animals, and I advocated for manatees. And so
Manatee River, baby.
I know. I was like repping my title.
The first title. There you go.
Yes, I know. But yeah, I actually worked for a cruise line this year too. So, I've done a lot of, I've done a lot of
cruise line is not easy. I watched a documentary on performers, and they encompass all of them. And being a cruise ship performer is hard.
It is tough. It is tough. They think it's just like lounging around and traveling.
You get like all those shrimp cocktails.
You do that, but you also, we went into training. We had to learn literally how to put out fires. We were in full fire gear with the breathing apparatus, crawling around on our hands and knees in the middle of a ship, putting out legitimate fires, literally like tag team giant hose, putting out a fire on the deck. And then we had to like go in the pool and learn how to like flip over a giant raft if we were ever out to sea, and like what to do to survive. I mean, you're not just a performer. You are, the first person that people go to when you're on the ship if something happens. You are trained as an individual to help others, and you don't get in that life first.
So. That.
I was into it.
Did you enjoy your time on the cruise ship?
So I actually never went on the cruise ship. I was a swing. So I learned a lot, like we trained for the cruise ship, and I learned everything to go on the ship. I learned all the performing aspects, and the swing position was really, really neat. But I didn't actually go on. I was on call for 6 months. If something were to happen to somebody, I was to go on it. And I was in chatting for my next cruise line contract, and then COVID. So
maybe you'll do that after COVID. You never know.
Yeah. Once this all simmers down, I would maybe look into it. But right now, I do not want to be on a cruise ship. So,
no, not for a while. Not for a while.
Exactly. So, I had a lot in the horizons, and I was signed with some modeling and talent agencies. I've been doing some commercials and modeling, and I think I'm about to sign with my 3rd agency. Hopefully, once this all
that's so cool.
Yeah. So
you guys, Lauren's hustling out here.
I'm hoping. So, I had a flight booked a few, I think, months ago now, but that got canceled because of COVID. So I'm just trying to figure out whether LA would be the best move for me to focus more on the film aspect and modeling and commercial aspects of the performing world, or if I want to go to New York and do, the Broadway track and live theater. So I have a love for both, and I'm trained in both, but it's just kind of figuring out where my niche is. And I'm a big Florida girl, so I kind of see LA being a really good place for me, but it's all kind of where God opens doors, and I'm in talks with my agencies of where they think would be the best fit for me, and we shall see.
I like that. God opens doors. Yes,
he does. For sure.
If you do move to LA and become famous, just promise me you'll come back and visit and watch Miss Florida.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm not going anywhere.
But so my last question for you, I just so appreciate you doing this for me, and your answers are amazing. And I might even ask you back, well, I probably will, for another episode, just to give even pageant tips, because I think because I want to go into your strategies for interview and everything, because that is just a huge chunk of Miss America. So I think it'd be interesting to hear that. But my last question for you is, what is the silver lining for your being in the Miss America organization? What is the best part of this whole journey to you?
Impacting people's lives, making them feel like they were the most important person in the room, because to me they were. Getting to mentor my little sunshine princesses. I saw a picture the other day that popped up on my Facebook. One of my little princesses, I had nannied her from the age of like 2.5, and now she's in 5th grade. She's about to graduate and go into middle school. And to see the trajectory of, you know, what she's done with her life, and to see that I've had a big impact in her life and all of my little princesses' lives and so many other individuals, I mean, that's enough for me to know that I helped someone or mentored them. And because it's also that they changed me, you know, they made me a better person. So though I was the one implementing, you know, these goals or instilling inspiration in them, it truly came back tenfold to me.
That's so beautiful. And I love that you say that. And yes, the Sunshine Princess program is absolutely incredible. But not only did you—
I'm gonna like cry.
I know.
Thinking about them and I miss them.
I saw that your answer was like, I'm being real emotional, even made me like my heart. But yes, not only did you impact those young women, but you impacted so many people. And now I'm going to my first year as a Miss. Well, not quite yet, but I mean,
yes, you're on the way.
It's on the way. Just one more year.
Yeah.
You inspire me. And I think that that's so interesting is that, you know, you can inspire people from all walks of life. You know, when I was talking to my mom about, you know, who I wanted to interview and I was making a list, I was like, you know, Lauren Nielsen, because you were so nice to me. And I know that sounds cliche, like, or like silly rather, because I honestly thought of you as like a celebrity, because watching you as a teen, we idolized the Miss Girls. And I feel like there's not a lot of, you know, young women in today's, you know, pop culture that are role models across the board, you know,
right,
who have a great moral compass, who have a strong faith in themselves, you know, that even extends past the belief in God. I mean, just following your own path of who you think you should be as a person and having character and, you know, someone with talent, someone with good grades, someone with ambition, just across the board. You don't really access that all the time.
Right.
It's true. And this is one of the few organizations to me that really gets all of those marks across the board in each and every one of their title holders. So when you agreed, I was so happy. You're always so generous, such a class act. And I think that you are an excellent representative of what every girl should aspire to come out as when they, you know, leave pageants or while they're in pageants. I think you've always been this way, but now you are a career woman and you're moving on. But I know that you'll always take part of that with you.
Oh, that was so sweet. The tears are just coming, man. They're coming.
I know. But Lauren, thank you so much for all of this. Thank you so much for letting me interview you. You're a gem to talk to, and I'm so happy you came. Guys, please make sure to follow Lauren. She is constantly posting about her fitness journey, you know, things that are happening in her career, and just all around gorgeous selfies, because this girl's really great at makeup. And
I learned, that was a whole nother story.
That is a whole, we might need to bring you back here to teach us some tips, because that is just a whole other story.
Oh, gosh.
How I'm going to do that every day of Miss Florida week, there's 1 year to prepare. So we'll worry about that when it happens. But Lauren, please make sure you guys follow her. And Lauren, thank you so much for coming. I am so happy that you allowed me to interview. And I hope you'll come back.
Oh, for sure. This was a blast, a total blast.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.